Hey everybody, it's Jody and it's time for another ukulele review. Today I'm reviewing a company that was new to me by the name of Deviser. They reached out to me at the end of last year and asked if I'd be interested in reviewing one of their instruments. They said they were a China-based company that sells their instruments on Amazon. So I went to Amazon and I saw what they had available, and this is the model that struck my interest the most. So this is the one I requested, and they sent me a discount code, and then I was able to order directly from Amazon and have it shipped through Amazon. So full disclosure, this instrument was sent to me for free. And that was the only, there was no other agreement as far as what I was supposed to say or anything like that. In fact, they didn't even ask for a review. They said I could just unbox it on my video, but I wanted to do a review as well. So there we have it. This instrument, according to the label inside, is the model number is D12-24. But according to their Amazon listing, it is called the Deviser Concert 23-inch cutaway thin body travel ukulele. And then it goes on to say a few more things, and we'll get into that in just a moment. So like all my reviews, we're gonna talk about the specs and the design. We'll talk about the playability and the sound and the overall value of the instrument. So let's get into it. Let's get another look real quick. This is the Deviser Thin Body Concert Ukulele. All right. Woo. Okay, so right off the bat, they say that it has a solid koa top, back, and sides. And I take a lot of issue with that. And here's why. There's no way that it's actually Hawaiian koa. I could probably, I know I could make a whole video about this, but I'm sure there's other people that can explain it better. But here are the bullet points. Acacia is a family of trees. And koa is one specific tree in that umbrella of acacia wood. But koa only grows in Hawaii, and there are laws in Hawaii. You cannot cut down a koa tree. You can only use the wood from a koa tree once it has fallen and died of natural causes. So as you can tell, there's not a huge abundance of koa wood, and because of that, koa is very expensive. It only grows in one part of the world, and you're not allowed to cut it down. So if this was actually a Hawaiian koa, solid Hawaiian koa concert ukulele, it would cost at least $1,000. And you can tell right off the bat, just by the price, that it can't be koa. This one is $119 on Amazon. Now, it's probably acacia, which is in the family, koa is in the family of acacia. So it's probably some form of acacia wood. And I don't really know how instruments get away with calling something koa when it's actually not, but I've seen it several times. Sometimes, if it says Hawaiian koa, then that's the real deal. I don't think they can get away with calling something Hawaiian koa if it's not, but apparently they can get away with calling things koa. Okay. So it's probably some form of acacia, but it definitely is solid top, back, and sides. And based off of looking at the sound hole, and also based off of the sound of the instrument, it's pretty thick wood, which is not desirable. You want it to be as thin as can be, because that's what's going to make it the most resonant instrument. This is pretty thick, solid wood, and we'll talk a little bit more again when we get into the sound of the instrument. It has, according to the listing, a rosewood fingerboard and rosewood bridge. And it did not say what kind of wood the neck is made out of. Probably mahogany, but it didn't say in the listing. It is made out of 3 pieces. There's a joint here. It's hard to show with this eyeglass. And there's a joint up here. Now, I do like that the joints aren't super obvious. Sometimes you get a neck that's 3 pieces, and like one piece will be considerably darker than the other piece, and it just looks bad, in my opinion. I do like how on this particular instrument there, you can see the joint. It's not a super obvious one. While we're up here, the headstock is kind of like a fender shaped headstock, and we've got all the tuners on one side, which I think is an interesting, striking design feature. The tuners are just closed, they die-cast geared tuners. These are little stickers that can come off. These little white stickers that can come off, and then it looks a little better. I just left them on for now. The tuners are okay. I mean, they are cheap tuners. I don't usually care too much about tuners until they don't work properly, or I notice them when they're super, super smooth. Then there's a big middle area that is passable for me. These tuners are fine. I did notice though on the E string, I kind of have to turn it a lot before I get any response in the pitch. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but they work, they're serviceable, and they do tend to hold the tuning. The logo is up here. I like how it's sideways so you can see it while playing. You can read it while playing. It's a little close to the edge though. It's very close to the edge. And it's, see how it's like metallic? And it kind of looks like a sticker or a screen print, but you can't feel it. So it's under this high gloss finish. The entire instrument has this high gloss finish, including the neck. I kind of like the necks to be satin, because if you get sweaty hands while you're playing, then sometimes that can affect the playability. But the high gloss finish is pretty and very striking with the instrument. The nut and saddle are ox bone, according to the listing. We do have fret markers on the front. Appears to be some kind of light wood inlay. And then we have them on the side as well. The sides of the fretboard are bound and very smooth. You don't feel any edges from the frets, which is nice. We have strap buttons that match the tuners, which is appreciated, and it came with a strap. We'll talk about that again when we get into the value of the instrument. It came with D'Addario titanium strings. Now you can always tell when they're titanium, the D'Addario titanium, because they have a very slight purple hue to them. And I like seeing instruments that aren't all Aquila strings. Aquila strings are not my favorite, and so I like seeing something different. But titanium strings are also kind of not my favorite. They just, to me, are a little bit lackluster. But I can see why companies use both of those brands, because they do tend to settle pretty quickly and then hold their tune pretty quickly. And especially for a beginner, I think that's one of their #1 complaints, is when they can't get their instrument to stay in tune and they think something's wrong with it. So there we have it, titanium strings. So those are the specs, except for down here. Let's talk about these design features. First of all, they don't say in the listing anything about the purfling or rosette. It appears to be abalone, and it's very pretty. I feel like abalone, you can't really capture the sparkle and beauty of it so much in a video, but there we have it. We have that. So we have the rosette and then the purfling. Purfling is on the top of the instrument, and it typically goes around the edge here. And then we have what they are calling a candy cane binding, which I'll show it on the back first. It appears to be like a light wood and a dark wood, but it doesn't say in the listing what the binding is made out of. They just call it a candy cane binding. And they have that binding in the back and on the front. So the binding is like the corner of the instrument, where the top meets the side, or where the back meets the side. I think this is a very striking instrument, and I like the look of it pretty much. However, I think having both purfling and binding to be a little much. It's a little busy having that. I think if the purfling were just maybe the dark wood, the same dark wood that's in the binding, that might be pretty striking and pretty, because I do like how the purfling goes here and it exposes this comfort edge that we have right here. Let's talk about this comfort edge. This is my first instrument having one, but I have wanted a comfort edge, and here's why. Sometimes when I'm playing an instrument, especially I notice it more so when I'm playing without a strap, but sometimes when I'm playing a lot and with short sleeves on, I will get a line right here, right where my arm touches the corner of the ukulele. So this comfort edge truly is comfortable. In fact, I was playing one of my other instruments and I started to notice that line and started to feel that, and I switched to this instrument and it definitely is more comfortable. I think this paired with the thin body makes it a very comfortable instrument. So I guess we're getting into the playability part of the review. This comfort edge is nice. I like it. I think it's another kind of striking design feature, but it's also functional, and I do really like this comfort edge right here. So let's get a closer look at it. It's just slightly, let's see if I can show it this way. Yeah, you see that? So it's slightly, it's not a sharp corner. It's kind of tapered. So we have that. I like that. The action is a bit high. Now, if anybody has a recommendation for a string action ruler where you can measure action on a ukulele easily, please put that in the comments. I actually have one and I can't read it. There's numbers all over it on all four sides, and it's too confusing for me. So if you have one, or know of one that's simple, that works great for ukulele, please put it in the comments below and I will get that and I will start including measurements in my reviews. But I can tell you it is a little high, and that I notice it more when I'm playing up here, but I also notice it in the intonation when I play farther up the neck. And I do believe that if I lowered the action a little bit, that would improve the intonation of the instrument. And lowering the action is not hard. Anybody can do it. I did it actually a long time ago with one of my first ukuleles. But it's just not something that you want to do. You don't want to get a brand new instrument and then have to make adjustments before it will play properly and feel proper. So that's just kind of a bummer. And probably not all of them need it. I think with these Amazon instruments that don't go through a dealer, it's kind of hit or miss. So that's about it for the playability, I think. I already mentioned these are smooth, and action's a little high, and this is comfortable. And it comes with a strap, which makes it easier to play. So overall, I do like the playability of this instrument, minus the slightly high action. Let's listen. Let's take a listen. Okay, that's what it sounds like. Right off the bat, it's not super loud. Now, that doesn't bother me. I've talked about this before. Quieter instruments have their place and their purpose. Not every you don't always want to blow people out of the water with the sound of your instrument, especially if you're camping with it and you're playing around a campfire. If you're playing it at night and there's other people in your house. There's times when it's nice to have a quieter instrument. And it's not super quiet, but it is on the quiet side. But aside from it being quiet, it's also kind of got a little bit of a thin sound. When I first played it in my unboxing, I got that comment more than once that it sounded kind of tinny. And I don't know if I would call it tinny, but I do think it has a little bit of a thin sound. It's not super resonant. And I suspect that is because of this thick wood, and the gloss finish is pretty darn thick on this as well. And I think that's hampering and dampening the sound a little bit. The thin body might also make it a little bit quieter. It does have an arched back though, which generally helps with projection. So I forgot to mention the arched back. So it's okay. It's not offensive to me. I've played it quite a bit, trying to get to prepare for this review. It's just a little bit, to me, like a little bit muted, like it's just not ringing out as much as I prefer in an instrument. And again, the intonation is a little bit off. You can hear it when you play it up higher. It's again not horrible. That's why I really think it can be corrected a lot with just a little tweak in the action, but the intonation is a little bit off when you move out of first position especially. Let's talk quickly about quality control. It's got the sticker. Oh, can you see that? It says QC Pass, and then it says ROHS, which I don't know what that stands for, but I'm assuming the QC Pass stands for Quality Control Pass. So whenever I see that, then I have to really look it over and see, you know, what passes in their quality control. At first glance, there was one glaring blemish, which I actually put in the unboxing video because it jumped right out at me, and that is in here. I'm gonna have to post a picture as I'm talking, but inside, attached to the bracing, is a chunk of like foam, and it's like glued on there, and it's pretty obvious. I mean, you can see it pretty easily, and that passed quality control. That was the big glaring thing. Nothing else jumped out at me. I had to really kind of look closely to see if there were any other blemishes, and there are little tiny ones. It's just right around the bracing. There's spots that are a little messy. Not the bracing, the binding. And there's a spot, where was it? Right here, where the stain of the wood is only partial. And there were a couple little spots right here. I might have to try, yeah, can you see that right there? Couple spots like that. And when I look at it super closely, especially in like the corners and stuff, that's when I can see just how thick the gloss finish is. And again, I think that kind of hampers the sound a little bit. It prevents it from being super resonant. But overall, I don't think, other than that big foam thing, which obviously is a fluke. All of their ukuleles aren't going to have that in it. Other than that, there wasn't a lot of blemishes in the instrument. Overall, I think it's a really striking instrument, and some people are gonna love all the bling bling on it. And I think it's an interesting, that's why I picked this one. I was like, that one looks pretty cool. I wanna try that one. So overall, I think it looks great and doesn't have a glaring blemishes, just tiny ones, which for the price point, I'm okay with. If I spend $1,000 on a ukulele, there better not be any blemish on it, because if I'm spending $1,000 on a ukulele, it better have been looked over by multiple people before it got to me. But when you spend $100 on one that you buy through Amazon, I know that there's a possibility for some little blemishes. And as far as Amazon only brands go, this one had a lot less than some of the other ones, this particular model. So really my only thing with it is the sound. The sound is just it's just kind of mediocre to me. But let's talk about the value of the instrument. It came with a padded gig bag. It came with, they say it's a 10mm padded gig bag, which I can feel. I mean, the top, back, and sides all have that pretty thick padding. It's got a nice pocket that has some depth to it. It's a pretty nice, neutral color that most people would not mind having. The handle is just a piece of like fabric. It's not padded handle or anything. And then it only has one strap in the back. I really like backpack straps on gig bags. But as gig bags go, I think this is a pretty nice one. It came with that. It came with a little polishing cloth. I use these all the time. I like having them, and I've never gotten one that has such a cute little border design on it. Look at that. It came with a tuner. I really like that, and it's just a basic tuner. This is what it looks like. It works. Came with the battery for the tuner, very important. And it came with a strap, which I haven't opened. It's got the logo on the strap right there. And it's just a brown strap. Actually, now that I think about it, it kind of matches the candy cane design a little bit. You know, that element, which is kind of cool. So there we have a strap. And aside from that, it did come with a little catalog that says, "Do you even uke?" And it's got some of their models. 1, 2, 3, 4 different models. So this also came with the bundle. And all of that is available. I don't know if it's $119 or $119.99. It's one of the two on Amazon. I'll post an affiliate link below if you're interested in this instrument. It's not a bad beginner instrument. I just think that the sound is just a little mediocre and not very resonant. And I do take issue with them calling it koa when it's not koa. But I do think, especially with a tweak in the action, it could be a serviceable instrument. It's so competitive in this price range. There's so much you can get, and you can get them from a dealer in this price range, which is going to be usually set up for you. I have a video below of some good places to buy ukuleles online that all do setups for you. So maybe I'll post a link to that below. But there we have it. That's the Deviser D12-24 thin body cutaway koa ukulele. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned. Got lots more fun videos coming your way. Don't forget to play your uke today. Bye.